Blessed be everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to be talking about what to do if you come across people who are wary of you being a witch. So they're not exactly against it, but they don't perhaps know enough about it, or they've heard a lot about it from a negative viewpoint. And they're just a bit wary of you, so they don't really know how to take you, or maybe they're afraid of what you might do to them. So we're going to talk about that today. Before we do, I'm Sandra from MysteryWitchSchool.com, author of Crafting Your Wiccan Path and Tapping into Abundance. If you want to know more about Wicca and witchcraft and shadow work and tarot, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss any videos. If you want to know where to start your witchcraft practice but you're not sure, take a look at my free video, How to Start Your Witchcraft Practice. The link is in the description field below this video. If you're out of the broom closet, even partially out of the broom closet, or maybe you haven't come out of the broom closet at all about you being a witch, but some people have found out that you are, you may come across people that are not exactly against you being a witch, like they're not outwardly trying to convert you to their religion or telling you that you're a devil worshipper or something like that. It's more that they're just a little wary of you. You will find those people, and they're the sort of people that with a little bit of education, or maybe a fair bit of education, will come around to understanding what the craft actually is. Most people base their judgments of witchcraft on Hollywood and also the fairy tales, and also their past experience perhaps with religion. And so you're going to get people that aren't that educated in regard to what Wicca or witchcraft is, because they just don't come from those places of interest. I've had so many people give me good responses. The other day I had been coerced into buying a raffle ticket, allowed myself to be coerced into buying a raffle ticket for a home, and when they asked me what it is that I did, I told them I was a witch, and they thought it was really cool. They said, "Wow, that's so cool." And then they tried to figure out, well, actually, what does a witch do? And so often when you tell people you're a witch, you can open up a whole area of conversation with people. I've been to business network meetings where I've just come out and said that I'm a witch, and people are just curious about it. Like they're just like, well, how do you do that? Like as a business sort of thing. Just genuine curiosity. Other times there's people that might throw a joke in, like, well, I better not get on your bad side, or I better be kind to you then. And sometimes with those people, the reason that they joke like that or throw that out there is because they're a little wary of you. They're not quite sure, and their joke is a way of showing that. It's a way of showing you, maybe subconsciously on their behalf, that they're not quite sure about you, whether you are going to curse them or something because of the stereotyping around witches. And this is probably one of the only spiritual traditions or religion, if you see it more as a religion, that people seem to feel comfortable stereotyping, or people seem to feel comfortable throwing those sorts of jokes around, because there are other religions that people just wouldn't dare do that to. Yet with us, of course, people seem to think that it's okay. But either way, if a person's wary of you, they're probably going to show you that they're wary through their jokes. They may say something directly to you, or they may avoid you altogether. They may be a bit nervous around you because they're expecting that you're going to, I don't know, curse them or something ridiculous like that. So what do you do when you're in this situation? I think the most important thing to do with people is, if you have the opportunity to, is to educate them as to what it is that we really do. To let them know what witchcraft really is in the modern day, in Western culture anyway. Even within other cultures that have been colonized by Christianity, or have had a huge Christian influence, where maybe their traditional religion was hybridized with Christianity, witchcraft has got a really bad reputation. And in some countries in the world, witchcraft is still illegal and punishable by death. And you'll find that these countries are often countries where there's still quite a strong Abrahamic religion that's dominating that culture in some way. And the way that people relate to witchcraft is generally in a very negative way. Even the people who may even practice it within that more Abrahamic construct of what witchcraft is. And so people can be absolutely terrified of witches. So it's not just in Western culture. It's just a little bit more accepted, I think, in Western culture these days. So educating them is a really great way to help them out. And if they want to know more about witchcraft or Wicca, you could talk to them about it, just explain to them how you operate, what it means to you, how you connect to nature, how you connect to spirit, how you perceive the gods, how you work with other spiritual beings, and really giving them an understanding that this is a path that is to do with connecting to our consciousness. And in the modern day and age, it's about raising consciousness, essentially. I think anybody on the magical path these days, it is about raising your consciousness. And that is something that a lot of people out there in the community, generally speaking, aren't involved in, or don't know how to be involved in something like that because they're so caught up in the everyday mainstream workaday world. You can always give people who are really interested and curious links to videos on YouTube, like documentaries that you've found very, very helpful. You can talk about the history of witchcraft in the West and where that sort of started, where it came out into the public arena anyway. Often people will assume that witches are only female, when in fact there's a lot of male witches out there too. And some people, particularly in modern times, I've noticed, even within the craft, don't seem to connect to the word witch and male at the same time. Yet the people that really brought witchcraft into the public arena, again, in the West, were actually men that really brought it out. So there's a lot of misconceptions about witchcraft, and I think sometimes even within our own communities, people aren't really across what it really means to be a witch in that deep sort of mystical, spiritual, magical sense. So have an elevator spiel handy to tell them. When you have a business and you're going to marketing network meetings, you will always have your elevator spiel where you go, hi, I'm blah, blah, and you have an elevator spiel about what it is that you do. You could have one ready for people who maybe have discovered that you're a witch and you didn't know that they knew, or you are in a situation where you feel comfortable revealing it. Just have a little elevator spiel that just describes what it is that you do in your practice and how you see witchcraft for you, and just have that ready, have it rehearsed and ready to go. I find that when you tell people things about the more spiritual side of it, the connected side of it, it really inspires people to ask more because they start to get curious. And if they're curious, that's a good sign. It means they really want to learn. They really want to know what it is. They would prefer to like you. They would prefer to be in a positive connection with you if they're asking questions sincerely. I know that in some Christian groups that are more fundamentalist, they may ask you questions as a way to try to argue with you and debate with you, but you'll always know that by the way that they ask the questions and then put their spiel at the end of it. Not all Christians are against witches. There are a lot of modern Christians who are quite open to Wicca and witchcraft. Witchcraft is being practiced in so many religions around the world, and that's something you can tell people too. If people are wary of you, you can always use examples of other religions where witchcraft is part of the practice. Catholicism, for example, has a lot of witchcraft practices in it. The lighting of candles in the church is one of them. My mother does candle lighting or candle magic in the church whenever she really is in a state where she feels she really needs help. My sister has done that. A lot of people burn candles in the church. There's an area in the Catholic Church where you can go and do your candle magic. And that's for petitions to saints, petitions to the deities in Catholicism. It can be lighting a candle for somebody who's passed on, so you've got that connection there a little bit with that ancestor connection and the Samhain connection there. There is a lot of magic in Catholicism. There's magic in Taoism, there's magic in Buddhism. I mean, Tibetan Buddhism is full of magic. It's just full of it. It's beautiful in its magic. You've also got shamanism, of course. And I know a lot of people probably prefer to call themselves maybe shamans or magicians or something that doesn't have the word witch in it, even though essentially we're all doing magic and we're all pretty much doing the same thing. It's just in a different style of doing it. Maybe some of the beliefs may be a little different in regards to deities and maybe other ways of doing ritual or something like that. But apart from those things, the more formed things, witchcraft and shamanism, really, what's the difference? Seriously, tell me what the difference is, because throughout history you've had your shamans that are on the fence between the light and the dark, and they walk between the worlds the same as witches do. And you can have shamans that curse as well as heal, just the same as witches in the past and even in the present sometimes do a bit of both. I think it's important that when you tell people what you do, that you don't try to sugarcoat it too much unrealistically, because the truth is witches are very diverse, and some witches are more inclined to curse at the drop of a hat for reasons that other witches may ethically not curse or not curse at all, and other witches are really just into the more healing side of working with magic and working with energy more of an alchemical nature. So there's a lot of variety there. And I can understand why people may get concerned about, cursing and manipulation, because the reality is it does happen. So you can understand that, but educating them in how you relate to the craft, how you practice the craft, is going to help them feel more at ease, hopefully. Anyway, stand in your beingness when you are confronted with somebody who's wary, because if you can remain calm, if you can remain in your being, your witch beingness, that energetically can help calm them down. You can lead by example, essentially. And so if people see the way that you live your life, the way that you do things, they can start to see your ethics, and they can start to see what you really are about, and that will help give them an understanding of what witchcraft is. Every time we go out in the world and express ourselves as witches out there in the public, we're advocates for the craft, and a lot of people are going to have their first encounter with witchcraft through you. So think about what sort of impression you're making on these people, and what sort of impression you're making of the craft with these people, and how you would like people to perceive the craft. And they're going to be perceiving that through you and how you conduct yourself around them. I would recommend that even if you feel a little bit of offense because of the way somebody said something or insinuates that you can't be trustworthy because you're a witch, try to be in your power of openness and not jump to being defensive around it, because that only makes it worse. It's going to be inclined to make them see witchcraft more negatively. I think it's okay though to point out to people, maybe if you feel that they're being a little bit too judgmental, or they're being offensive with a way that maybe they've made a joke or something that that they wouldn't dare do for other religions, that it may be a way to maybe in an affirmative and assertive way to maybe point that out if it makes you feel uncomfortable, for sure. But the important thing is not to be aggressive with the comeback, just to try and be in your very, very grounded condition, so that they can see that you're not some crazy lunatic who likes to run around wielding a wand and cursing people all of the time, that you actually are a very centered being, and they can see that, and that will help put them more at ease and maybe influence them too in a really positive way. So even if people are wary of you, it's important to not take offense to that, to stand in your beingness or stand in your power in a way that is courteous, in a way that is showing your integrity. Integrity goes a long, long way. Even if people are being cruel or harsh, if you're standing in your integrity and standing in your confident beingness and not playing games back with them and not stooping to their level of rudeness, then you're really leading by example to show those people how much integrity you have and how much integrity is within the craft itself as well. So you're always an advocate for the craft, and when you can stand in your power and stand in your beingness and not get swayed by maybe criticisms from other people or people attacking you even, or even just people being wary in general, then you're going to do really positive things, not just for yourself, but also for the craft as well. So simply, in a nutshell, that's pretty much what it is. Educate them wherever you can. Show them some YouTube videos if they're that interested. Have a little bit of an elevator spiel there ready to go. Talk a little bit about the history, particularly with the vilification and how witches became vilified in the first place. I think that's really important that people know how witches were vilified in modern Western culture anyway. Lead by example. Have example of magic and witchcraft being practiced in other religions, so do a little bit of research there, and remain calm and just educate and lead by example. So they're the two things that I'd recommend. If you want to learn witchcraft and Wicca with me, then you can certainly do that with the Mystery Witch School 101 Academy. It's a 12-month course. It's there to help you get started practicing the craft, so that you're not just reading about it, you're putting all of that stuff into practice slowly, and building a connected practice. And you can do it all without having to try and put it together all by yourself with all of that information that's out there and all that information that is confusing. The link to the course is in the description field below this video. If you like the video, hit the like button, share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe. I thank you all for supporting the channel, and I'll see you on the next video.